In the meantime, in 1962, before I left J&L, I decided to start a gun shop, doing custom work, doing drilling, tappings, and mounting scopes and sights and so on and so forth, and decided, well, I got a room down in the cellar that's 12 by 16, so anyway, that's where we started the shop. Put a sign out by the road, Rodys Gun Shop.
So if you had visited or shopped at Rodys Gun Shop back in 1962, this would have been its location. In fact, this street that we're on wasn't paved, it was all dirt, and it didn't even have a name. So if you came to visit or came to shop, you'd park somewhere along the curb. You'd walk around the building, go in the back door, down the stairs into the basement, and there would be Rodys Gun Shop. All right, so let's go for a walk and I'll show you what they experienced in 1962. So when you got here to the back of the house, this door was the entry to the gun shop. Come on along, let me show you. Of course, back in the day, this would not have been carpeted. This would have been nothing but pine treads that were getting worn just from all of the use from all of the customers by the time we moved the gun shop into the new building. So when you got to the bottom of the stairs, when you got to the landing, this would be the entrance into Rodys Gun Shop. And I've heard many stories told that back when Rodys was here, my mother used to do laundry and hang her laundry on clotheslines that Dad had put from the rafter to the back wall. We lived here, this was our home. So everything that you would do in your home, we did here. The only difference was inserted into the back of this was Rodys Gun Shop. So there are stories of customers that would come down the stairs and literally have to push their way through the laundry that was hanging from the lines simply to get over to Rodys Gun Shop. Now when you got past the laundry, this would be the first place that you would arrive, and this is where most of the conversations would probably take place. This was the gunsmithing bench. There was a vise here, there was a vise here. Both my dad and my uncle worked on guns. They were both gunsmiths. They learned their trade as gunsmiths here. On the back of the shelves would be all of the tools and supplies they needed to do their gunsmithing. A lot of their small parts were here. The drawers and the cupboards, much the same as down in current Rodys Gun Shop. This is where they worked. This is where they did their gunsmithing. This is where Dad's passion was. This is what he wanted to do. He wanted to be a gunsmith. He wanted to be a custom gunsmith. So this was the hub of activity that was or defined what Rodys Gun Shop was. And as many of you know, that both my dad and my uncle became some of the best gunsmiths in the country. But let's say you wanted to go into the store and you wanted to look at guns or ammunition that were on the racks for sale. Then you would go through this door. This was the entry to Rodys Gun Shop. This was the store. This is where it all started. Along the walls, Dad had multiple gun racks, and you would come in and you would look at whatever guns they had on display. And back here on this wall, Dad had put some shelves, and this is where all the ammunition was. So whatever caliber that you were looking for, you would usually find it somewhere on this wall here. Before the Gun Control Act of 1968, you didn't need to have an FFL or a license to sell firearms. You didn't need to have an FFL or a license to sell ammunition or to reload ammunition. In fact, back in those early days, you didn't necessarily have to buy from a distributor. You could buy direct from the manufacturers in some cases. But here was where Rodys did all the custom reloading for clients and customers. We had the rock chucker reloading presses. Up here were all the dyes, all the powders, all the primers, everything was located here. And in fact, This is what I did early on in my mid-teens, from say 14 to 18, 17, 18. I used to do a lot of the reloading for Rodys Gun Shop. And in fact, I still have the original book with all the client names and special loads that they were asking for their rifles and their handguns. It's really cool that that document still exists. But this is where we did all of our reloading. And this is the tour of Rodys Gun Shop from 1962 to 1969-ish.
Well, you know, business got pretty good, so we decided we had to make a new shop. So we built a 40 by 24 building on a slab down about 100 yards down back of my house. Moved in there, and I think that was 68, I guess it was there. Then, naturally, worked days at our job, and then at night we would work from 6 to 9 at night in the gun shop selling and doing gunsmithing, all right? Taking military guns and making them into sporters, yep. All right? Turning the barrels, making stocks, putting on scopes and sights.